Hello, I'm Mark Tucker,
And I'm Alan Furstenberg. Welcome to Two Voice Devs.
Two Voice Devs. Hello, Alan.
Hey, Mark. How's it been going?
It's been going great.
Good.
Celebrated our 50th episode. We're still excited about that.
And still going strong?
Yes.
Looking forward to seeing how many people are actually using it in as part of the action and
Right.
how many people are using other channels and getting your feedback. Your feedback so far has been pretty good. We're encouraged.
Yep. So give the action a try. And for some reason, if the invocation doesn't work for you, go ahead and set up a routine and start using it and giving us some feedback. We'd love that. Thanks.
So that was great last week, but we've got some stuff that's coming up that could be some stuff for us that's pretty good. We're celebrating 1 year soon.
Yep.
But there's some concerning stuff coming up for Alexa shortly.
Yeah, it happens from time to time. Features get deprecated, and you have to change your voice apps to accommodate that. In this case, it has to deal with Alexa and display templates. Just a reminder, display templates was the original screen technology that came out when the Echo Show first came out. Before that, it was just cards in the Alexa app. And with display templates, you had, I think, 7 different templates that you could choose from, just different layouts, different lists, views and detail views showing an image. So it wasn't very, functional as far as, very simple. Just a couple steps above cards, but that technology is going away, and end of July is the deadline to get your skills updated to switch on over to Alexa presentation language, good old APL.
So yeah, so if you're listening to this when we first broadcast, that's like in 2 weeks. When did they announce this?
I received an email. Let me think. I think it was in June, like towards the end of June. So
that's not
maybe
a lot of time.
maybe it was a month earlier, but still, it wasn't I don't know. It wasn't a lot of time for me. I was just trying to think of everybody else who has to go through and change their stuff. If you're, it's affected some of the side projects that I've worked on. Like I had a game called Picture Guesser, which was based on APL back in, created in 2017 when the Echo Show first came out, and it's been, just kind of chugging away. But if I want that skill to still, keep going, I need to change on over to APL.
Oh, so that was created using display templates. Okay.
Yes, and it's interesting. It's a tile, a picture tile game. So you've got a picture that has tiles on it, and you have to use your voice to remove tiles because there was no tapping technology back then. There were for lists, but just interesting implementation. I in order to get the image, which I can show with tiles, to be dynamic, then I had to use an SVG, and then behind the scenes, as tiles got removed, then remove it on the SVG, call a server side to generate an image off of that SVG, and then show the image in the display template. So
you were generating images on the server and manipulating them on the server.
Yes.
So the fact that you generated them server side reminds me a lot about the early days of the web.
Yes.
When we didn't have CSS and didn't have image layering and didn't have DOM layering and anything like that, and we were doing all sorts of image manipulation on the server side. And then we matured, just like how APL is now a mature step over what we had before.
Yeah, so it's been it was pushing the envelope of what display templates could do back then. And I've actually looked at a few times, probably 3 or 4 times in the past when APLs come out. I was on early beta for APL. I was went up to Amazon and was able to kind of kick the tires of it before it was even announced. And this was the project that I was I chose to see what it would take to go ahead and switch that over to APL. And back in that time, there were a limited number of components, and things were early days of APL as well. And so wasn't able to successfully get that converted over. And still it's pretty challenging. Layout is in APL is still a challenge. And I appreciate the help from Alexander for helping me over the weekend, getting my APL in ship shape, ready to go. So that hurdle is over, but still have some back end. The skill was created in Alexa Skills Kit version 1. And
so you had a lot of converting that you're doing there.
And I'm converted over to Jovo version 3, and from display templates to APL. And the skill also has in-skill purchasing. So it was one of the first skills that I did that had ISP. So there's some, not necessarily changes to the way ISP works, but just some things that I've learned over the years.
Mm-hmm.
So it's taken quite a bit of work to get it moved over, and I've had some small success on getting developer rewards, dollars, and things like that in the early days. So I'm excited about getting it converted over, and feel like it's time to do that. And so I'm spending the energy over this weekend and a number of nights before to get that converted over.
Always exciting when you end up having to do that. I know I've had more than a couple of times when Google has moved from Dialogflow version 1 to Dialogflow version 2 to
Right.
Action Builder, and some things get changed along the way and some things get dropped along the way, and some things get dropped and then restored in a different fashion. So that's always been fun. I think one of the actions that I had a lot of fun with originally writing, well, I ended up writing in Dialogflow 1, and it kept running for a long time after the official deprecation end date of it, and just suddenly one day it mysteriously stopped. So I guess somebody finally turned off the server somewhere. And every so often I think about rewriting it, and for a while the interface, one of the things that it did, it was called How Much Longer, and it kind of had the idea of how much longer, if you're driving, how much longer until you get to a certain point. It's kind of meant for kids in the back seat to be asking this question every 5 minutes. So it would give accurate but not always useful answers, like it will be there in several thousand seconds. Accurate, but not useful.
Not super useful.
But it required the location API that was part of Actions on Google that didn't work in Actions Builder for a while. So I never got around to porting it over, and now I'm like, I don't know if I really want to deal with it. But yeah, we've had similar issues on the Google side where they just decide to stop supporting something.
Yeah. So there's times where you get an announcement like this one. I got a personalized email saying, "Hey, this skill is needs to be looked at because it's changing." But other times you get surprises like, "Oh, the stop intent has a different meaning than it used to, and now it's going to exit out of the skill as opposed to being used some other way inside the skill." So those are things that are, I guess, those surprises.
Those are tougher to deal with, yeah.
Yeah. Because all of a sudden something's not quite working right, and you're trying to figure out what's going on. And
again, we've had similar on the Google side where suddenly the meaning of a fallback intent changed without notice. And a lot of people were caught off guard. And for a long time, even after they did that, the documentation about what the new semantics of a fallback intent or a no match wasn't clearly defined. And we still get people who are confused about what it's supposed to be doing. So yeah, changes like that can be rough to work around because you don't get clear definitions for a while.
I guess in some of the cases, especially like with this APL conversion over, it's been a lot of hours getting it done, and sometimes I wish we would have had a little bit longer runway announcement as far as when things were going to be deprecated, because I'm busy with a full-time job and these are projects on the side, and we've got lots of other things, and just trying to get something fixed up in a fixed time frame is can be really challenging.
Right. And especially even, yes, especially for hobbyists, but
Yes.
even for professional um, skills and actions. If you're on a scheduled update cycle for things, or you're in the middle of preparing for another release, and suddenly you're told that something's going to be deprecated, well, that throws off your entire schedule. And that's not always something that you can handle.
Yeah, and also working in an agency, I know that a place that I worked for a number of years ago, we did a number of skills that had display templates in it, and so now going back to those same clients, would be challenging, right? In a situation, say, hey, this is something that's changing. I guess it's an opportunity for agencies to say, hey, we've worked on this before. This is changing. It's a good time to go in and do an update, and let's let's see what else we can do. So it could be an opportunity to get some additional dollars and do some additional work for clients to help, touch up their voice apps
Right.
and
But
make them current. But
as a client, if it's working, I'm sure I always want to touch it.
yeah,
So that's always the dilemma that's out there is, okay, I need to pay how much, and it's not going to do anything different than it did before.
it's just going to keep
Why?
working. Yeah. So that is challenging. It's interesting though, but for the Google actions I've done and for Lexis skills, it's these types of changes that are like really big breaking changes that require action have only shown up from time to time. It doesn't happen, a lot, enough that it could be a headache, but not a lot. But when I was doing Bixby development, it's interesting that they have a little bit of a different philosophy. They have their Bixby Studio, which is tied into a server-side platform, and as you're coding, things get synced with the server, um, and I've actually had a couple of capsules that I created that have been deprecated from the marketplace because I haven't kept up this more frequent update, and this admittedly the changes that would be required to get those capsules to be maintained in the marketplace were relatively small as well. But then you have to weigh the cost of, well, this particular capsule isn't getting a lot of usage. Is it worth my time to go back in and maintain it, or is it a good time for that just to be deprecated? But Bixby has a lot more frequent cycle where you need to maintain things before.
And it's also, since it's also really tied to the tool, it means that you need to make sure you've got the latest tools and that you've updated everything, and that you don't suddenly now have a new problem by updating this tool. And usually I'm sure in a more closed environment like Bixby, that's not too big a problem. But I've certainly had issues where I've tried to do what I thought was a simple update, and hours later I finally finish and go, no, what was it? Why did I do this again?
Yeah. So, but Bixby is good though about saying, hey, this is in warning status. And then they give you some email heads up. And then when it's getting closer to more, it's time that it's, we've got to fix it or it's going to go away. They do give you a heads up about that. So I do like the approach that they've taken with that. Just maybe the frequency not as
and also to Bixby's credit, it's a single environment. So for the most part, when you're updating a capsule, you're also in updating the logic part of it. That's hosted there for the most part. So you don't have to worry about another completely different set of things that can be deprecated. Is my node version on Lambda or Google Cloud Functions suddenly deprecated next week?
Yeah.
Because that's happened to me before too.
Well, and the cross-platform approach that I've taken with Bixby does point to Jovo on the server. So I do have exactly those same types of issues. Like, okay, when I go back into a project, it's like, well, what version of Node is it on? What version of Jovo is it running on? What version of the Jovo CLI is it running on? And that has dependencies on the Ask CLI when it comes to deploying, or if I'm using serverless to deploy, then what's the version of serverless? So there is, a number of things that go into that. And that's, that played into a decision actually I made today. My game Number Spies. I went ahead and deprecated that, just removed it from the skill store.
I'm sorry to hear that.
Yeah, it's been I guess a long time in coming and trying to think about what happened. I was really excited about it when I created it. I thought it was innovative, and I wanted it to be an experience that it wasn't just a voice game experience, but was kind of more of a augmented reality game type of experience where you would listen to a recording of numbers and record those and decode that and get a message, and then that you could go back into the skill and get points for decoding the message, and that might lead you to a clue that would take you to a location, which would so it was pretty complicated in the end, and a lot of moving parts, and it really it didn't get a lot of usage. So that I don't know, it just didn't turn out the way that I imagined it was going to with that. There were some challenges with creating content. So if you wanted, you'd have to create new messages and kind of piece together these mini missions that you could go on. And putting that together, even though I used a content management system that would allow me to go in and make all these changes, it was like, how many hours a week should I be spending, creating content for this game? Yeah.
As I think we've kind of discussed, and as certainly as, people like Sarah of Matchbox.io talk about, a lot of it really is, it's the content creation. It's not just creating the software, it's then creating and maintaining the content after it. And I think even, we're finding that out as we're deploying, the Two Voice Devs action is, our weekly podcast is the content for that. But that's now, there's a lot more to it than just recording and, tossing it up somewhere. It's the editing, it's making sure the transcript works. It's, there's additional work.
It's indexing the transcript so that you can search on it, and,
it's listening to the, it's checking out the comments that we see. It's seeing what people are doing. So, all of that content management is a lot of extra work. So, it's a hard decision. I understand, but it's a hard decision.
Yeah, and kind of the I guess the final straw on the whole thing is that I hadn't touched it for a long time, and for some reason it stopped working in production. I don't know what the error was. So I did some debugging. I was trying to push a new version out, and like I said, all these different versions of serverless and the different frameworks and things were all just kind of coming against that. And I've tried a number of different times, spending multiple hours trying to push an update to it so it would work. And I finally got an email a couple of days ago that says, hey, we've noticed on the Alexa Skill Store that Number Spies is having problems, and we want to maintain high quality in the marketplace. And so, fix it, or we're going to end up taking it down. And I thought, maybe I can, it would be a good opportunity just to take it down, kind of reevaluate what parts I liked about Number Spies, get feedback from the players, things that they liked, and maybe come back with something that's a simpler concept that maybe has some of those elements, but is done a little bit differently.
Mm-hmm.
So,
well, here's to hoping it returns again eventually.
Thanks. Yeah, it's a hard decision, but I think it was the right decision, and it just kind of all kind of plays into this whole conversation about maintaining. How do you keep these voice experiences going, and when's the right time to say goodbye to that experience, and what's sometimes that's a forced decision with, we're changing technology behind the scenes and we have to do that. It's either change or don't, and sometimes it's just a personal decision that this is the time to let it go.
Yeah, no, it's hard, especially for a hobbyist, and especially for a passion project that you're passionate about.
Yeah.
So yeah, I understand that's a hard decision.
So I don't know. Is there anything else we want to talk about on this topic? I think we've covered it pretty well.
So I think the big question I had going back to our original topic actually is how easy is it to convert, if all you were doing was converting from a display template to APL, how hard is that?
If I was just doing that, there are some tools. If you go to APL Ninja, there's actually they've created a display templates to APL converter
Okay.
for you, and there are some things, some ways that you can do it with APL expecting the same data structure as the JSON data structure that the display templates were expecting. So there are, if that's all you're doing, then then it should be fairly simple to do. Mine is a bigger change, and it's kind of weird in the fact that Picture Guesser is really a voice experience, but a screen required. It's not the normal way that you would do things, but trying to kind of push the boundaries and see how that would work. Yeah, see how that would work on a smart display. But some of the new features you get with the new version of Picture Guesser is that you actually get to tap the tiles and have them disappear, as opposed to just using voice. But things have changed quite a bit, and on that, more interactivity and more features. So that's taken a lot more work.
Yep. No, I understand. So yeah. I don't think we've got too much more about this. So I'm kind of curious to hear what other people's experiences are, not just with the display template to APL conversion, but also with other conversions that we've had to do over the 4 to 6, 7 years that we've been building these things. What are the upgrades that we've needed to do, and what have your experiences been like? So leave us feedback either in the YouTube comments, in your podcast comments, or say, hey, G, talk to Two Voice Devs and leave your comment right in the episode.
Right at the spot where we're talking about it.
And if you'd like, if your comment's particularly insightful, we will probably share it again in another episode of Two Voice Devs.
Two Voice Devs. Take care, Alan. Nice talking to you.
Take care, Mark. Take care, everyone. Have a good week.